Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my official NFL betting trends video. With it being so late into the regular season, we have noticed some pretty interesting trends develop for different teams, and we're really going to dig into it and see if there are any trends that will give us a significant betting advantage. Starting with the Thursday night game, of course, the Cowboys now sitting minus 12.5 with the Titans practically resting all of their starters. We do have a trend regarding the Tennessee Titans unders. They're 9-3 in their last 12 games, and Tennessee has really struggled against the spread. Ryan Tannehill getting injured, Malik Willis losing outright at home last week to Houston. They're 0-4-1 against the spread in their last 5. And, I hope people got the Cowboys minus 10 because right now, minus 12.5, it's a lot. But with Derrick Henry very likely out, a ton of Tennessee starters out, it does make sense that Dallas is significant favorites in that one. Next, we've got the Panthers at the Bucs. The Bucs sitting minus 3. And guys, it's just crazy at this point with Tampa Bay. Their last 13 games, they're 1-11-1 against the spread. And Bucs first half unders, they're 13-2 in their this season. So it makes sense. Tampa Bay really seems to start off slow. The first half of their games, normally very low scoring. The under always hits. And, I do like, surprisingly enough, the Bucs to cover the 3-point spread because I think Sam Darnold is due for a blow-up. Bad performance with 3 interceptions. But if you're just betting off the trend, bet Carolina plus 3 and forget about it. If they're 1-11-1 against the spread in their last 13, it's very hard to have any faith in Tampa Bay. But I do think Carolina is going to get shut down in the run game, which is really something they were able to exploit last week against a bad Detroit team. Next, we've got the Browns at the Commanders. The Commanders sitting minus 2 with Carson Wentz starting this game. The Commanders, guys, still very good against the spread, but obviously that's with Taylor Heinicke. Even with the blow-up bad performance against San Francisco, they still are 6-3-1 against the spread. And the NFC East has been amazing against non-division teams against the spread this year, 25-14. That is the best out of any division, the NFC East. But again, I do have to warn people, this is Carson Wentz, not Taylor Heinicke, going up against a Browns team that really has not a lot of motivation. But I will say Deshaun Watson does want to prove himself here at the end of the season and really give the Browns, who look dead in the water, some legitimate momentum going into the offseason. They don't own their first round pick, so there's really no reason for them to lose and try and get better draft position. We will see what happens in that one. Next, we have the Saints at the Eagles. The Eagles are a touchdown favorite, possibly starting Gardner Minshew there. The Saints, the under is 7-0 in their last 7 games. I think the over-under in this game is 44. And Lane Johnson, the offensive tackle for Philadelphia, they really struggle when he is not in the lineup. They're 3-10 straight up in their last 13 games. Philadelphia is without him. I think, you take a look at New Orleans not scoring a ton, possibly the under with Gardner Minshew playing. The under could be a good play there in that one. Next, we have the Cardinals at the Falcons. The Falcons are 4-point favorites. Falcons are 2-7 against the spread in their last 9, but they are 4-2 straight up at home. The Falcons are a different team at home. They play a lot better, but I do not trust them minus 4. I would actually be intrigued, although I do think, I do think Colt McCoy is starting. So maybe I would go in on the Falcons minus 4. I think Trace McSorley is better than Colt McCoy. And if I was the Cardinals, I would start Colt McCoy just to lose games because you want to tank at this point. Get a better draft position with Kyler Murray being out for the year with a lame duck coach. We'll have to see what the Cardinals do. But the Falcons, definitely a team trying to get Desmond Ridder and Drake London to develop some good chemistry and really get them on the same page. That's a good matchup for them at home. The Jaguars minus 4.5 at Houston. The Jags road overs are 6-2 this season. Davis Mills, this is kind of a weird stat. With extra rest, He's 0-3 against the spread, and technically they are going to have extra rest because most of the games were on Saturday last week because of Christmas. So Davis Mills with extra rest is 0-3. Guys, I love Jacksonville to win this game huge. Houston's been covering recently. They're due for a bad performance, and Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence, they're finally coming into their own in the second half of his sophomore season. This is a great confidence-building type game. Houston needs to lose this game to lock up Bryce Young and the number 1 overall pick. I will take Jacksonville big. Next, we have the Bears at the Lions. The Lions sitting 6-point favorites. Bears over is 9-2 in their last 11 games. Jared Goff, very good indoors. 25-13 against the spread indoors. The Lions had a streak that was snapped last week where they were 7-0 against the spread in their last 7 games. Obviously, they got crushed. The Bears are a team the Lions probably don't want to face because Justin Fields is elite running the football and the Lions have a horrible rush defense. I still would probably say I like the over in this game even though it's 51 because Lions home games tend to go over and Chicago games in general with their bad defense tend to produce a lot of overs as well. The Dolphins at the Patriots. This is a 1 o'clock game. I don't have a spread listed, but I can just tell you the Patriots are -2.5, I believe, with Teddy Bridgewater starting for the Dolphins. Guys, I like the Patriots to cover in this game with the backup. They're 25-15-1 in 1 o'clock games. They play a lot better. Home, 1 o'clock games. The Patriots are good. Belichick is good. I like them to win this game. Although I will say, I saw a stat. Teddy Bridgewater, in his career on the road, 24-7 against the spread. That's impressive. That is impressive, but this is a situation where Bridgewater's filling in. He's not the original starter, so I think it's going to be harder for him. And the Patriots, both of these teams need to win this game, but the Patriots, they showed me a lot last week, at least their defense did, shutting down Cincinnati in the second half in that one. Next, we have the Broncos at the Chiefs. The Chiefs, massive favorites by 13.5 points. Chiefs home unders 7-1 this season. Broncos unders were hitting like crazy until a few weeks ago. A lot of people in on the under 45 in this game. Colts at Giants. The Giants 5.5 point favorites with the Colts fully embracing tank mode. The Colts are 3-12 in first half spreads this season. The Giants home under trend is crazy. The under is 17-3 in the last 20 Giants home games. The over-under in this one just 38.5. The Jets sitting -2 at the Seahawks, now into the 4 o'clock window. Seattle has been terrible against the spread, 0-6 in their last 6. Road teams that are favorites, the under. So this is a very interesting stat, and I couldn't get it all down. It's road teams that are favorites by a field goal or less. The under in those games, because the Jets are -2, so it's less than a field goal. It's the road team. It's the favorite. The under is actually 24-7, which is interesting because I do like the over in this game with Mike White back for the Jets, but that's an interesting trend to look at, possibly going in on the under based off of that 24-7 record in those scenarios. The 49ers now -10 at the Raiders with Derek Carr not playing. The 49ers, since Christian McCaffrey, 7-1 against the spread. The Raiders, this is why I liked the Raiders before it was announced that Derek Carr wasn't playing. The Raiders 6-2 against the spread at home. Of course, that's with Derek Carr. And also home game overs for the Raiders were money. But we do have to reevaluate that and probably just stay away from that with Jarrett Stidham starting now for Vegas. Moving to number 13, the Vikings at the Packers. The Packers sitting -3.5. So here it is, guys. Teams that are under 500, which the Packers are technically because they're 7-8, as betting favorites versus a team that has an 80% win percentage or better, which is Minnesota, their last 9 games. You think, oh, there's value on Minnesota because they're way better because they have the better record and they're 3.5 point underdogs. But history tells us the Packers cover. The last 9 times it's happened, the team that's been the favorite that is under 500 is 8-0-1 against the spread. History tells us Green Bay will cover this spread. Vegas knows what they're doing. The Rams at the Chargers, the battle for LA. The Chargers 6.5-point favorites. The Chargers struggle to cover spreads at home, guys. They're 10-19 against the spread at home as favorites since 2018. I see that trend continuing. I think Baker Mayfield is trying to prove himself. He's playing well. With Sean McVay, Cam Akers is starting to really run the ball well. I think the Rams keep that game close. The Steelers at the Ravens 3-point favorites. Question marks surrounding Lamar Jackson. Mike Tomlin, 19-4 against the spread as a division underdog. He's money. Everyone is in on the Steelers +3 in this one. The Bills -1 at the Bengals. This is the great Monday night game. And you can see the Bills road unders 7-1 in 2022. That's even with, last week the under not hitting against the Bears, but it's still 7-1. And Joe Burrow is just ridiculous against the spread. He's 19-3 in his last 22. So that's why a lot of people are actually going in on Cincinnati right now, +1 or +1.5, depending on where you get it. Now, when it comes to the overall trend bets, this is really not my opinion. It's just based on the current trend of each of these games. Cowboys at Titans, the under 40.5 in that one. The Panthers +3. I am against this bet. I understand I'm going against the trend here. The trend says take the Panthers +3 at the Bucs because the Bucs cannot cover anything, and the Panthers have done a really good job against the spread in the second half of the season. The Commanders -2 versus the Browns. They've been surprisingly good against the spread, but again, Carson Wentz is starting in this game. Saints at the Eagles, the under 44. Saints unders have been money. 7-0 in their last 7. I'm going in on the Cardinals plus, but honestly, guys, I don't know about this. I say take the problem is Colt McCoy is starting. It kind of throws it off. I would probably take the Falcons, honestly, -4 in this game. Not if Colt McCoy is seriously starting, but overall, I'd probably stay away from it. The Jaguars at Texans, the over 43.5. Jaguars road overs have been very profitable this season. The Lions -6 versus the Bears. The Lions have been a great team against the spread even after the blip last week. And the Bears, if Chase Claypool is out, we know Mooney is out. They might be without another receiver. If they're without all their receivers, even though Justin Fields is a really great running quarterback, they're just simply too one-dimensional against a good Detroit team who plays really well on offense in the Dome at home. The Patriots -2.5 versus the Dolphins. We love the Patriots versus a backup quarterback at home, the way their defense plays in that one. Next, we've got the Broncos at the Chiefs, the under 45. Chief home unders has been a trend, as well as just Broncos. Outside of the last few weeks, the under was always hitting for Denver. Colts at Giants, the under 39.5. That's the Giants home unders. They've been hitting like crazy, and we saw Nick Foles and that Colts offense just completely start the tank last week on Monday Night Football. The Jets -2 at the Seahawks. This is a game you maybe also go in on the under, but we do like the Jets based off of the Seahawks being 0-6 in their last 6 games against the spread. I think that might be, I'm not sure which game that is. Oh, you know what? I think that's the 49ers game that I don't really have, because, they're -10. I wouldn't bet that game. Packers -3.5 versus Vikings. It seems, based on history, the last 9 instances we've seen where a team lower than 500, which is what the Packers are, is favorites over a team with a winning percentage above 800. They're 8-0-1. They're perfect against the spread, so they should cover that. The Rams +6.5 at the Chargers. The Chargers don't cover anything at home, especially over a field goal. The Steelers +3 at the Ravens. Mike Tomlin against divisional opponents as an underdog is really good. And really, the Ravens offense, possibly without Lamar Jackson, not good. And then the six guys, I'll be honest, the Monday night game, all of the trends say to take the under and take the Bengals, but I am against that. I'm in on the over, and I'm in on Josh Allen -1. That's just my opinion, but I will say Joe Burrow has been amazing against the spread to start his career. There's no doubt, but I'm not advising taking Cincinnati because I think Buffalo is better. They're fighting for the number 1 overall seed, and I think they win that game and Stefon Diggs goes off. That's my opinion on that. But that's just going to do it for the overall trend bets here for NFL week number 17, guys. Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description.